Also in South Korea, a 23-year-old photographer, Park Jung-geun, has been arrested for being a North Korean sympathizer and violating South Korea's national security law. The allegations against him include opening a Twitter account called @SeoulDecadence, being connected to a North Korea propaganda website, YouTube channel, and Twitter account, quoting and distributing 384 pro-enemy postings, having written 200 tweets sympathizing with North Korea's ideology, and possessing a pro-enemy book. In his defense, Park says that his tweets and retweets about North Korea are pure satire. And even though he's in jail waiting for his trial, he seems to be taking everything in stride. One of his last tweets before going to prison said, "Is there a plug in jail? I'll need to charge my cell phone." But on Twitter, Park's detention is reigniting the debate over the national security law versus freedom of speech. Here, one of Park's supporters says, "Park should go home, and the national security law should go in the trash." But others say that the law is important. Kim Il-sung's final decree in 1994 was that the national security law be repealed in South Korea. Paradoxically, the national security law is a law for defending South Korea. We're joined today via Skype by Park Jung-geun's lawyer, Kwang-cheol. Mr. Lee is a member of an NGO called Lawyers for a Democratic Society, which specializes in the national security law. Thanks for joining us today, Mr. Lee. So, can you tell us about the national security law? Why does this law exist in South Korea?
The law exists because the North and South are still divided and at odds with one another. The tension that exists between the two sides is a result of the harsh competition between the two different systems, since Korea was split into two and engaged in the Korean War. The South Korean government and South Korean people were fearful and hostile toward the North. And this hostility, coupled with politics in the South, molded the national security law into an expression of enmity toward the North.
Now, how does this law apply to Mr. Park's case?
Well, in this context, Park Jung-geun opened his Twitter account and posted some tweets that seemed to praise North Korean leaders. He also tweeted various clips of military parades and inspections from North Korea's YouTube channel. His tweets were discovered by the prosecution, and as a result of this, Park was arrested for violating the national security law.
And what do you think of this law? I mean, do you think it should be amended or even repealed?
I think the national security law should be repealed. In fact, people should base their decisions on a free marketplace of ideas, whether they're the right ideas or not. An idea shouldn't be punishable by criminal law to make people keep their mouths shut. That is a dictatorship by only a few people, powerful people, with their own interests in mind.
Last question. Do you see this law, in terms of its application and enforcement, being driven by what's going on in South Korean politics?
Yes. The problem is that politicians have taken advantage of people's mindsets. They have made bad use of politics. During the previous Roh Moo-hyun administration in 2007, 39 people were accused of violating the national security law. As the Lee Myung-bak administration began in 2008, the number of accused rose to 40, increasing to 70 in 2009 and 151 by 2010. I mean, since the Lee administration began, the number of people enforcing the law has quadrupled. This clearly shows that the national security law has been used in the situation of divided Koreas to oppose freedom of speech, suppress opposition in politics, and make other people keep their mouths shut. That's what I think about the law.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. Kwang-cheol is a member of Lawyers for a Democratic Society in Seoul.
U.S. airwaves, a global channel of uncompromising stories. World news, documentaries, entertainment, and culture. Link TV, connecting you to the world. For more information, visit linktv.org.